Tonight we have Trail Z going head-to-head against RoseCitySaint in a semifinals match. It will be a best of 2 of 3. I believe they'll only be playing one of their games tonight, but perhaps there's a possibility of a second game if this goes really quickly. So we will see what the players are in for on their Max Rando. And as you can see, they start with Hammer. And joining me tonight is the Nightcrawler.
Indeed. These guys race with each other quite a bit. They're some of the most practiced racers in the Zelda 2 randomizer community. It's no mistake that they're here at the top, facing off against each other.
And forgot to introduce myself. I am Q Lane, and together, Nightcrawler and I will be commentating this game between the two of them. And it might be a quick game. We see they only have one gem to place. However, you never know with these seeds. They don't have the glove.
Oh yeah, the glove, potentially upstab. There's lots of fun ways in which these guys can be blocked in Grand Palace. They could end up needing Thunder as well. So that's one of the things that makes the Max Rando so interesting is that, maybe you can go in there early. Maybe you'll gamble on that. Maybe it'll pay off. But then again, maybe it'll bite you in the butt.
But looking at these two racers right here, we see that they start with 7 heart containers. Both of these are seasoned veteran players of the Zelda 2 randomizer. They pretty much know how to get through almost any situation in this game in a reasonable manner. Like, look at this red Dire cave. Trail Z just finds. Let's see how he approaches it here.
Oh yeah, no problem. He's got down stab.
Yeah, that's the experience pulling off, lures them over to the low overhead and down stabs them through. Meanwhile, RoseCitySaint will be going through the trophy cave here. Both will be picking up an item.
P bag for RCS. 500 though. That's a good way. Trophy for Trails. I'd say, between the two, that pickup from RCS could be better in the early game. But if that's a good spell in Rudo, it'll definitely pay off for Trail. And the nice thing is, you don't have to question whether you want to dive into Rudo or not. Do you want to look for the hint, or is that worth the time? No, if you've got trophy, you might as well go turn it in, unless you already have all the spells you need.
RoseCitySaint is going to find that cave. We'll see how he approaches it. Meanwhile, Trail Z finding the trophy cave in instead. We'll see how both players handle each other's respective caves they did first.
Oof.
Yeah, you can lead that. What RoseCitySaint did was he led the enemy back into the lava before approaching the jump there. Trail Z, bit too greedy there, but RoseCitySaint. Oh, he's got to be careful here. Grabbing that key is a pretty big pickup right now, seeing as they have Palace 1 right next door. You only need about 1 or 2 keys to get through this dungeon, almost guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. And they might go for the item. I'm pretty sure they'll go for the item. Yeah. But that will require an extra key from them.
There's a few easy key pickups in Palace 1. One is when you go up from the ferry elevator, you usually have that room going to the right with a free drop in it. And then there's the crumbling bridge drop room, like the one you see RoseCitySaint in right now. This one sometimes has a key in it, and it does today. So that should guarantee Rose for the item. I believe he has 3 keys, or perhaps just 2.
RCS picking up the life. I don't think he needed it. He hasn't really died yet. But if he's planning on going straight to GP on this continue, then could be useful. With this many heart containers, I'm sure they'll have no trouble in GP, even at Life 3. So they'll probably try
buy
to...
them an extra hit or two against Thunderbird.
Yeah.
The extra life's a bit of a troll there, but you know, if you can hold that 4th life, find GP, and all of a sudden you get a bunch of open rooms there. Who knows?
Well, that's probably the best level up that Trails is going to get out of there.
Now, we'll see if Trail Z goes back in search of the items, pick up the little dig shake. Seems like he's going to. RoseCitySaint, meanwhile, is finishing his way out of here. The downside for Trails is that once he picks up the extra life, he's going to up a warp out.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. Picking up the extra life before the extra life, which will bring him back up to normal lives, and then he'll up an A.
They really need the extra life with the 7 heart containers and everything and all.
Alright, we're going to find out what Ruto has.
Ideally, they want to pick up either Fairy, Thunder, or the Jump Spell.
Now, I wasn't paying enough attention. What spells did they start with?
They started with the Fire Spell and... yeah, just the Fire Spell. And that looked like it was in the Nibiru slot.
Oh!
Yeah, RoseCitySaint just picked up a cheap Thunder right there, 61. He is able to cast that with his 64 magic points.
That's perfect. Yeah. And the best hint ever.
Well, okay, so that says it's not in Death Mountain or in one of the dungeons, I believe. So it's on the overworld.
Sure, that actually was a bit more helpful than I gave it credit.
There.
Oh, and the glove. This is going to be a short race.
Yeah. We've got the raft on an overworld tile. We've got a glove on the grass tile, which RoseCitySaint is about to grab. So one of the other open caves, which they have the hammer for, is going to have the raft and give them access to the east and the remaining dungeons of the game.
So pretty much the only thing that could block them is Fairy or Upstab.
Yeah. But Trowsy does need to pick up his Thunder Spell before he ends up leaving here. Unless he already did cash in at Rando.
I don't think he did.
Well, they're finding 2 more item caves for us. Which one will be the raft? Maybe something like a magic container would be nice, if they're going to do both caves anyways.
There it is.
So RoseCitySaint has a decision here whether to run to the raft dock or to keep searching for caves. So we'll see which decision he makes here and decide what he's going to do. The cross could be nice, might save Trowsy a life or 2.
Now, just going by the odds, in terms of what they have to find, crossing the ocean is probably going to be better odds. Because there's only 2 more palaces they haven't checked here on this continent, and there's 4 on the other continent. So odds are that now there's a very good chance that GP is on the other continent.
Now we've seen Palace 1 and 2 on the west here. Trowsy is picking up and racking on the experience though.
Mm-hmm. We got Heart Container Cave on RCS's side.
So he'll pick up the cross in here as well. And we did see the raft dock just north of this cave, so we'll see if RoseCitySaint opts to go the east or keeps looking for the last dungeon.
Yeah, and honestly, the cross is not a bad idea for where they're going at with their current levels. RCS not picking up that key, not wasting the
time. We've all been hit by that crumbling bridge MOA going in the Great Palace.
Mhm.
I mean without the grass, sorry.
Fire Equals Jump is actually pretty good. It reduces the chance that they will need Fairy, just slightly, because the upstab required room, you need Jump or Fairy to get through it, even if you have upstab. Although I think if you have Jump, there's some shenanigans you can do without upstab.
There are some, but I don't see RoseCitySaint or Trails messing with any of those shenanigans tonight. They are going to be looking for their additional towns here.
Trails considering for a moment.
On the way.
Trails considering jumping into Death Mountain for a moment, decides against it. There's just 2 items there, and really, he probably doesn't need them. Probably.
Well, Spectacle Rock could be right out in the open, and who knows, that could be a magic container sitting right there if you just peek in by, if you're outside by the ocean or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And, hey, actually, boots could still be required.
RoseCitySaint will be picking up his last spell on the west here before heading off into the east. We'll see what Saria holds for him.
Last spell at almost under 11 minutes. That's really fast.
Now, there is a potential for this seed to go longer, and that is if the Great Palace is flute blocked by the 3-eyed rock hidden on the east. There is a possibility that one of the dungeons will be blocked by the flute.
Or it could be boots blocked, of course.
Unlikely, but we've seen a few scenarios where Maze Island has been blocked off by the boots before the dungeon in there, and sometimes not so often, the overworld does manage to do that as well.
Yeah, I'm remembering one specific one where GP was in a little valley. It was in Death Valley, but that was like after a little beach that you could only get to by walking on the water on the western shore. That was pretty fun. That would be great, Scorpion Max. I would love that. We could need both flute and the boots, and then flute you get from the 7 magic containers, and boots you get from the spell house. And for the spell house, you need to find the spell, and then you need to get like child for that. That'd be pretty awesome.
So I'm not sure. Has RoseCitySaint visited Raru Town? Because Trowsy is here now, and I'm not sure.
I don't think he
going to get
did.
this spell.
I don't remember him going to Rauru, but
Fairy spell could make quite a difference here, depending on what RoseCitySaint finds from his fire spell. I'm not sure if we figured that out yet, or if he's been able to cast it.
Apparently fire is jump. Yeah, he definitely.
Palace, there's about 2 rooms or so that that might get generated that you're going to want to use Fairy for to help you get through those rooms. Otherwise, Fairy is useful for saving your bacon when an enemy's going to knock you in the lava.
And of course, you can ferry your feet way through a number of encounters, especially in Maze Island or Death Valley.
Well, I guess this is the one game where you don't want to pick up a double jump, as RoseCitySaint already had jump linked to fire then.
I would actually like to see double jump as an alternative jump spell.
Someday soon, hopefully.
That would be pretty cool.
But you're watching, both of these players are navigating all these encounters in a very fast, efficient manner. They're not taking too long to fight the enemies they don't need to, and they're finding a way to continuously move on and move from one spot to another without taking too much damage here. So you can see their skill and their worth at getting this far in the tournament to the semifinals.
Alright, see that? RCS using Thunder to get experience from the Lizalfos, which got him a magic level up, which refilled his Thunder, so it's like he never even cast a spell. Yeah, smartly avoiding in the life spell, level up, because he knows he doesn't really have a need for it with this many heart containers. Looks like he's going to hit attack 5. Trail's still on attack 3. Oh, sorry, attack 4. But yeah, the fact that Trail's got Fairy from Rauru could be pretty bad, because RCS, I know he's changed his approach toward these seeds over that time, but he hates going into GP without Fairy.
So he might check all away from Darunia right there. I'm not sure if he has the upstab. Have we confirmed if both players have the upstab or not?
I don't think they do.
Yeah. RoseCitySaint says he does not like, he feels uncomfortable entering the Great Palace without grabbing the upstab, and he does have the jump spell. He could have grabbed it there, but he's going to push it off, or we'll see.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't realize that jump is fire. I don't think he's tested it yet, and even if so, maybe he figures he's going to find the child and just do it all at once.
He knows this is a 1-gem seed. He's going to try and hurry over to the Great Palace. He doesn't want to lose the race by trying to look for upstab here, if he knows it's going to be a really close, fast run.
Interesting Death Valley.
RoseCitySaint opts not to go in there. He's going to seek out and explore this yellow brick road a little bit longer, and it is going the distance with a...
Lack of the fairy spell hurting him here. He probably would have ferried through the first encounter if he had it, and now he can't ferry through this one. But he found Three-Eyed Rock, so flute possibly required.
I think he's looking for Maze Island, which is exactly what he's about to find. And a nice...
Oh, he did have the jump spell.
500 P-Bag here. He will pick up one final level from there. Life 5. These might be his levels going into the Great Palace. 4, 4, 5.
Nothing wrong with levels like that. Thunder isn't likely to get any cheaper anytime soon.
You can farm that Max Scorpion, these two, with the Thunder spell right next to the Great Palace if you keep running in to respawn them a few times. However, that is not the Great Palace.
Indeed, P5. Nightmare scenario for them would be required item for accessing flute in GP as the item or something. That'd be a nightmare scenario right there. Because with everyone that they find, every palace that they find, it becomes more and more likely that something like Three-Eyed Rock.
He chose not to look for the item in Maze Island. The flute could have potentially been located there. And so if Trozzy chooses to look in Maze Island, the flute is right there. That could give him an access to an immediate dungeon right there. So we'll see if Rose goes back and checks Death Valley here.
Yeah, I'm guessing he figures that's the fastest way. And rightly so. He's going to be trying to do the encounter skip here. Didn't quite get it that time. At least they're easy encounters. Max Rando pays off sometimes.
Indeed.
There we go.
Well, they do have the candle, I believe. They started with that as one of their items to start the seed. So that helps, but yeah, some of these lava encounters can be rough if you don't get a skip off them. Normally, you do want to have the jump spell or the fairy spell to help you get through those encounters.
Almost. And that time there's a generous enemy spawning in front of him and heading in his direction, so here he is. It's not GP.
So that means it could be located in Three-Eyed Rock. I believe there's one other dungeon in the east.
Now this is interesting. He's going into this palace hoping that it's P3. This looks like P6, doesn't it?
Did he start the palace by going through a locked door? I didn't see if he went through a locked door.
Yeah, he used a key.
It still could potentially be Palace 3. We'll know if he strikes that statue in the upper left, which he chose not to. So we'll find out soon. 3.
3, okay. So I guess he's looking for a quick... well, what's the... I don't really understand what the point of going into that palace is if you're not looking for a quick item, but... that's my ignorance, I suppose.
So it seems flute is required. We have seen Palace 6 then. Trilogy will be finding a magic container in this dungeon.
Was this P4?
Oh,
yeah, P4.
Palace 4.
Oh gosh, okay, so we actually do know now that... oh, never mind. That's a raft spot. Okay, so there's still one more palace that we haven't seen yet, right? Maybe
I'm not
6?
sure if they've seen Palace 6, so I thought that was Palace 6, the red one that Trilogy was in, but we will find out shortly, or it is in the Three-Eyed Rock.
No, Trails was in P4, and RCS was in P3. And of course we've seen P2, P5, and P1. So now, we have a 50-50 shot of needing the recorder.
We'll see if RoseCitySaint manages to find Raru this time around here and grab himself a fairy spell. I'm not sure where it was located, but it would be helpful to have that.
Honestly, Buzz, I'm not sure I agree with that because, yeah, he went into P3, but after he confirmed that it was P3, he up and 8 out of there, which you'd figure if you've already gone into P3, you'd, go for the item, if you could. And he has fairy. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have fairy. Even still.
Well, I know I would want the flute, but we'll find out.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a hint about that, but I could have been not paying attention. Grandma at the grave knows nothing, unfortunately. Does he know? Has he checked 3 palaces on the east? At the very least, he knows it's a 50-50 shot. Or a 50-50-50-50 shot.
So if he knows it's required, he'll probably go back to an easy item location such as Maze Island.
Maze Island.
Which we see he's en route to. Meanwhile, Trilogy is starting to clear the dungeons one by one, seeking for the items in there. Trilogy,
That's unusual.
Visited all the dungeons yet himself, has he? So it's him who's checking for these, but he hasn't found the raft, or has he?
Huh. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he didn't get the hint that it was in the west.
That's odd, because Trilogy usually picks all the hints in the towns on the west. If he would have missed that hint, though, that was on the Overworld.
That hint was in.
Would be interesting.
That hint was in Rudo, wasn't it? So maybe.
Rando, so if it was, Trailzy is going to be looking for through a lot of these dungeons. There is the possibility that the flute could be in one of these dungeons. Well, RoseCitySaint is checking the obvious Maze Island location.
Yeah, there's definitely the possibility, but I'd say it's pretty unlikely at this point that it will be in this palace for him. It's like, what, a 1 in 15, 1 in 20 shot? Something like that at this point? Probably like 1 in 15. I'm hoping for Hammer Cave. I always hope for Hammer Cave. I would hope for Spectral Rock, but they have the hammer, so. And Hammer Cave could be boots required, so still in for the possible boots required seed.
I'm not sure who's going to invest more time here, but Rose is guaranteed to pick up 2 items. You can see all the encounters that Rose is going through to find his item. Meanwhile, Trailzy is still pushing for the item in the dungeon. Who will find their items first?
Alright, which palace is this for Trails? Did he just go back into 2 or is this 5? No, I think this is 2.
Yeah, this is dungeon 2 he's in. RoseCitySaint picks up a key. He's not going to be too happy with that key, seeing as I don't see him jumping in any more dungeons, but he might look for the item in the dungeon here on Maze Island before he leaves with that key, seeing as now he has access, because before he didn't have the fairy spell.
Yeah, honestly, I think that he might use that at least in P3, which is not too far from here, because P3, once again, the easy item, I'm guessing he up and 8 out of P3 because he didn't want to actually look for the items. Yeah, he didn't want to look for the keys, that's what I meant to say, yeah. And since he hasn't picked up fairy yet, he had no way to go through it unless he dug for keys. And he might know the layouts of these palaces a lot better than I do. To know that there's no easily accessible.
Rose finally will find his item here. Meanwhile, at the same time,
Trailzy
picks up the dungeon item. With the flute, that'll give RoseCitySaint access to the Great Palace right outside of Maze Island here. Which, yeah, he's making a beeline run all the way back. He will not up A, he's going to walk over.
That's huge. That's huge for RCS.
Or that is the location Trailzy is likely to check on his path then, as he makes his way over to the east. So, if you look at Trailzy having 6 magic containers right now, that could help him get through the Great Palace if it is a long and difficult Great Palace ahead of RoseCitySaint. We'll find out as he makes his way through. At attack 4 and only life 5, without the shield spell, RoseCitySaint still is going to have to play very carefully with only 4 magic containers going through the Great Palace. Like, that's, depending on how it's laid out, that might not be very easy for RoseCitySaint, but he usually does find a way after a few attempts.
Trail's still suffering from his lack of raft, unfortunately. He just didn't get the hint, and that's paying... That's hurting him quite a bit. Where was the raft again? The
raft, I believe it was located in the item cave, what's it called, the P-Bag item cave on the west.
Well, still possible that upstab could be required, fair could be required, in which case Trails does have the upper hand, because he hasn't gone to Darunia yet, so he hasn't noped out of there, and he does have fair.
You are right in the possibility that RoseCitySaint could get blocked out of here. There's two potential ways for it to happen, and that is the him running into a fairy required room, the lava room, you have to cast fairy to go through. There are two of those rooms in the dungeonette. And there is the possibility that he needs to get through the upstab required room, going around that way.
Yeah, although the one thing about the upstab required room is if you're not going in the wrong direction, that is, if you're not going from right to left, it's not an upstab required room, it's a downstab required room, which they do have. Ooh, Trails seeing that P-bag there. He's not liking that.
We see these honeycomb rooms a lot. You see like 2 spicy chickens and a fire guy. RoseCitySaint is gonna show us how to get through this room. I would have used jump, but RoseCitySaint tried to take out the orange guy quickly, but that didn't work out for him so well.
Yeah, even if you took out the orange guy quickly, there's still a lot of other projectiles.
And as you can see, this time RoseCitySaint is gonna... He realizes he's not got time to play around here.
Oh yeah, that jump is definitely worthwhile. I still don't know about.
Well, with this guy, you want to use your beams to take out the little fire roper in the back, then run in and kill the chicken. So the little spicy chip couldn't get you his little fire projectile was going above. But
unfortunately,
it does help. RoseCitySaint skips through the honeycomb to find a dead end.
Oh, Trails finally finding the raft. Must feel awful about finding it at probably the last possible location it could have been in. We're in sync, TK.
But it won't take him too long to hopefully find the recorder and get into the Great Palace here. It was on Maze Island. It was probably one of the first locations that RoseCitySaint was directed to on his pathway. So there is a possibility that Trailsy goes in, takes all the lefts, and finds Darklink first.
Well, it was a magic pass-through to get to that section of Hyrule, if I'm not mistaken. But there could be a second or even third magic pass-through to that area. We didn't really see the whole valley that they came into, that RCS came out into.
At this time, if I was playing this race as Trailsy, I would feel behind having gone through Death Mountain, all the items, knowing that this is a 1-gem seed. They both are likely to have the glove, seeing he was sitting on the grass tile. He must feel pressured that he's going to be behind right now, so we'll see how he tries to make up time and gain ground here.
Mm-hmm. And the unusual thing for him is going to be in trying to predict RCS's play style. He will know that RCS would have gotten upstab, so he's not going to be thinking that RCS is upstab blocked, potentially. So if that was a potential thing that could have caught Trails up, and we don't know for sure that that's the case yet, but if it was, Trails isn't necessarily going to be thinking that that's something to go for.
Trails in for the Rude Awakening as he finds a little digger. He doesn't even pick it up in Nukasudo there. Yeah, he's out. He's got no time to play around. And for good measure, the spell he would have found in there would have been the jump spell, which he already has fire for.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good then. Hopefully it doesn't cause him to second guess himself later. I don't think it would have.
Nah, he's not going to go back there.
If I'm not mistaken, Darunia is south of Trail's current location.
He has to go right. He has to go through a cave that's the only one available to him by the raft dock, and then he follows the yellow brick road.
Great T-Bird fight so far. Hopefully it doesn't take another bop because the last one hurt quite a bit. There it is. Well done. A very good Thunderbird fight from RCS. At, even for Randomizer, what might be considered slightly low levels.
This will open up a huge access way into the Great Palace for Rose, as he finds 2 elevator rooms to choose from here.
I'm not really sure what Trails is hoping to find in this. Oh, I guess possibly Flute. Well, at least that will send him into Darunia once he finds it. He'll be wanting to cash out the child and get up step just in case. Because I don't honestly see Trails defeating RCS with this kind of a head start unless RCS gets blocked.
There's still a lot of ways RoseCitySaint can go in this dungeon. We did see 3 directions he can go. 4 now, I believe, here. So it's unlikely at this point, but we'll find out. He has the jump spell, so he could, if he was doing his homework, he could skip through that room on the right, as he already fought and killed Thunderbird.
That's right. And that might honestly have been a pretty good way to do it, because he hasn't seen the other side of the room at all. Oh, well, he just dropped back into it, but...
Well, actually, this room with these projectiles, it would be really hard to set up. I've seen players sit down this room for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes or more with bad projectiles, trying to get yourself hit by a diagonal one. You could be sitting there all day, so it's a good idea not to probably do it this time.
The diagonal ones kind of have a hard time hitting you, it seems. And with that little life, and the fact that he's already lost 1 life so far, he didn't really ever even need to do it, because here's the other side of the room, right here. Would have saved him all of, I don't know, 30 seconds.
He's choosing to go left in this room, so that could mean that he's seen this room on his way through already, or that he's taken Trail Z's advice that you always go left in the room, because that is the Trail Z room.
Oh, is that what he's calling it?
Yes, that's what he's calling it.
Can I have a KC room somewhere?
All right, plenty of rooms in the game.
Well, here's Trails near the flute. Let's hope that he finds it first time through. I think at this point he knows.
Clear Maze Island for sure. I don't know if he's going to go in the dungeon first, but that
he has to.
There's a long time you're going to be spending in the Maze Island. You don't have the boots. You're going to be blocked from the water.
Oh, RCS getting a little complicated with this strategy to get to the room, but it should save a little bit more time than trying to kill the spicy chicken at attack 4. Oh.
That is the second block room I've seen him run into going that way. There's one other dead end that looks like that, but he has a lot of other directions he can choose from in this dungeon still. It's quite wide open.
Well, I think he's actually in a little bit of danger right now. Did he lose a life again? Because he's got higher life than he did before, and I don't think he picked up the life spell.
Even if,
so, he might be on his last life after this.
Lost the life, it wouldn't be long for him to catch right back up exactly where he was here.
Sure. But I think they started with 1 extra life, so if he died here, he would be on his last life, I believe.
RoseCitySaint is on 2 lives in the Great Palace.
Hmm. Oh, did Trails leave without the flute? He sure did. Hey, Trails.
Oh. He might be looking for the item cave here. He is going to find one of them on the overworld. He could think that RoseCitySaint is going to go right to Maze Island. He could be banking that RoseCitySaint going to right to Maze Island. If the flute is somewhere else, then Trailsy could make it around here.
Sure. Fresh life for RCS, back at Thunderbird. Or did he up a nay?
Yeah. I believe he worked back to start here. Fresh life. No, you look at the 660 experience, so he did loop his way around the dungeon.
Yeah, RCS doesn't know that he's in such a commanding lead right now, so that's not going to feel very good.
Yeah, he did not go up the elevator last time, the one with the Mew you just saw, the spike above. He also chose not to go through this elevator here. So which of the two elevators he's going to go up? Likely this one leads him to the Jackamus room.
He's been in the Jackamus room before, right? Yeah. It could be left from Eon Drop. Or left from Jackamus.
It is good to take falls, because rooms like this usually lead to isolated parts of the dungeon containing dark light.
Oh.
And as we see, he does find the final boss of the game here. Round 1 will be going to RoseCitySaint tonight.
Is that round 1? I see a little Triforce by his name already.
We'll find out this.
There we go. RCS finishing off Dark Link. No doubt about that there. Get your GGs in chat, everybody. I am not in the room, so I can't tell you his official SRL time, unfortunately.
It is 41:40 copyright from the room there. Congratulations to RoseCitySaint. Knowing Rose, he is going to join us in the chat here. He absolutely, no way he's not going to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a second little Triforce for him, so I'm assuming he's moving on. And he was in the winner's bracket, so what's that guarantee him? Semifinals or finals at this point?
Who are we talking about? Trail Z right now? Guaranteed position, possibly fighting for a third place between the two finalists above.
Got a little bit of a weird setup with these screens right now. But if you couldn't get enough Trail Z before, now you've got just as much as you could ever want. The Alan Heffley giving us the nice little dance. Is that on your screen? RCS?
Yes. How you doing?
Oh, so humble before the race, and do we get some of that? How are you feeling right now, Rose? Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I was a little bit concerned when I saw exactly where the flute was located, because I chose to do Maze Island first, check that palace first, then go back to Valley of Death, and that really misrouted me, and I thought that was going to be all it took for me to lose. In hindsight, if you had checked Valley first and then gone to Maze Island, you'd grab the flute out of Maze Island, I would have probably saved, I don't know, 4 to 5 minutes. But yeah, it all
I agree.
out.
You were
Or if you never checked.
I was going to say, you were following Trail Z in each other's footsteps much of the start of the race for at least the first 25 minutes of the run. Trail Z had difficulty locating the raft actually on the west. He did not grab the hint that you found earlier, so he was tied up looking in dungeons and going into Death Mountain on the west before heading over to the east.
Wow.
Yeah, he found both Death Mountain spots.
I never even found a single Death Mountain entrance, and I was pretty disappointed because when you saw me make that first up and A, obviously the first time around, I noped out of Medicine Cave, which I was beginning to regret when I saw that flute was required. And I wanted to go there, and since we started with a hammer, I wanted to at least find a Death Mountain entrance or two and see if I could accomplish something quickly there, and was kind of panicky when I did not see any Death Mountain entrances. And then I just said, well, I guess I better check those 2 Maze Island spots, and then after that, I guess I was looking for the desert tile and maybe the eastern V-Bag caves would probably been my next play.
Right. As there was 2 other concerns that could have stumped you in the race here, and that was not having fairy or upstab. You walked out of Darunia after you entered there. Tell us what was going through your mind.
Well, I just said I can't, like, in the past, practicing against trails, because I play against trails an awful lot, doing things like stopping in there for upstab and doing things like grabbing an item out of Medicine Cave, for example, when I already have what I need. Those are the things that cost me races. I do an awful lot of losing by 2 to 3 minutes. So I was like, I am really going to streamline this. I am going to cut corners that I wouldn't normally cut. And upstab is one of those luxuries I wanted to do without. And I felt okay that if it was required, I figured trails would probably be without it as well. And I knew my way back. I at least felt secure knowing where to get my upstab. So I felt pretty good about leaving that behind in this case.
Gotcha. That does make sense. It's just unusual. I mean, I know you adapt your playstyles quite a bit, but I'm not as aware of a lot of the other racers as I am of your playstyle, because often you're very vocal about it because you win a lot of races, you do a lot of interviews and stuff like that. Sure. So seeing you nope out of upstab is like, well, this is a change.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You used the word adapt, and that's exactly what you have to do. I still don't consider myself a comfortable Max Rando player. Every single seed is an adaptation, and you have to be willing to do things outside your comfort zone. Did you notice after I killed T-Bird, I went right, I took a drop, and there were a few loops that looped back around into each other, and it finally dropped you back into the Trails room, which we'd already seen.
Yes, you went left from the Trail Z room. We noticed that you didn't go right from that room.
That's exactly correct. That was my next point. The old RCS would have just gone right, and I probably would have found the right way much, much quicker. But because I've ran enough of these flags, I've seen that left of that room is often the solution. And that made me really want to check that one waffle room that was below it, which led to a pretty quick dead end. And again, that really delayed me.
Pro strats from the RoseCitySaint right here, and Trail Z always takes right to Dark Link. We'll see if he follows his own advice. He is fighting the Thunderbird right now. He's found his way into the Great Palace on finding the Flute of Maze Island.
Unlike when you fought a Thunderbird, he actually has maxed out magic containers as opposed to the 4 you had. You had 4, right?
Yes, I did have 4. That's insane. He grabs 4 magic containers while looking for the flute.
While looking for the raft.
A lot of dungeons.
Wow.
The last one was looking for the flute. The last one was in...
Brought that up because that is mind-boggling. Does that mean that 2 magic containers were in Death Mountain?
No, there was just 1 in Death Mountain, I think.
I think he found the other on the eastern continent while exploring one of the overworld caves. Though he does have the fairy spell, which was picked up in Raru on the western continent. You did not end up finding the Raru town to have the fairy spell.
No, and that is actually, to tell you the truth, one of the things that I wish I did, even though I was kind of intent on skipping items. I wanted to keep grabbing spells because you never know just how nasty GP is going to be, and it would have made me feel like I could tank it and go faster if I had either shield or life, which I was, without both. Fairy would have, of course, been nice.
You knew that Trail Z was likely to find it, and you didn't have a whole lot of time to wiggle around.
Yeah, it made me nervous enough to see the gloves so free and easy. And, Thunder, you needed a spell item, but again, the spell item was free and easy. The town was in plain sight to grab Thunder, and so this was just a hurry up and find GP seed, which I can't believe it didn't cost me more, the fact that I skipped over the flute the first time around.
Trail's finishing off Thunderbird. By the way, I have to say, great fight against Thunderbird today. You took 1 Vop, very painful, but you didn't take that second one.
Yeah, definitely. That's the difference between attack 4 and attack 3. I mean, you can do it at attack 3, but a player of our
You
experience.
can do it at attack 1.
Oh yeah, well that's absolutely right, Clayne. But you can.
You are claiming to be a Zelda 2 champion, are you not? You gotta be able to do it at attack 1.
That's the name they gave me. I don't claim anything. Yeah, no, a player of the experience of Trails or myself should comfortably be able to do it at attack 4. We'll say that. I would give it a go at attack 3. As far as anything less than that, 2 or 1, I've never personally.
Yeah, get you a copy first or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, remember, I'm not a vanilla speedrunner, so I don't have all these accomplishments on the mantle the same way a lot of you guys do. But in a rando, yeah, attack 3 is about as low as it gets.
The only Zelda 2 randomizer accomplishment that I have under my belt as far as time goes is finishing a sprite in 22 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love your sprites.
This accomplished Zelda 2 player here, stealing all the tournament titles of the Max Randomizer. With that, this is your first game against Trail Z, right? Your semifinals?
That's right, yeah. And our next game, Game 2, is planned for tomorrow night, same time, 9 o'clock.
Is that the same time the other match is taking place, correct?
I have no idea. If Toaster and Buzz have scheduled something, I haven't seen a schedule. We scheduled it first anyway, so we'll put it like that. If they made the schedule for 9 o'clock, they copied us.
No, yeah, Amazing Toaster and Buzz Thunder has not scheduled their game. That was for your game.
Okay.
One thing I did want to mention or talk about with you real quick was when you did Death Mountain and you found out that it was P3 or P6, you dove into it. Yep. I'm assuming hoping to get a quick item, but then when you found out for sure that it was P3, you noped out. Just didn't want to find the other key or what?
That's right. The situation, I didn't have any magic key and no fairy. I had two keys in my possession, and I said, well, as long as I'm here, I know we have a flute hunt. This is a short pallet. I've got a couple keys. Let's see if I can dig it up real quick. And then I had to burn 2 keys immediately, and I just said, no, thank you. I'm not going to invest any more time in this palace hoping to get a key. There's a lot more other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trail Z taking his own advice, going left to the Trail Z room.
Yeah. This is just the play now. It's remarkable how even if you don't find the Trail Z room via the drop, even if you just encounter it while walking from left to right, a lot of times you'll find you have to, go backwards and just start going back left again, and the solution will be back to the left. And it's ridiculous how often that comes up. We've all heard
soon I'll be the only player who goes right at that drop there, and then I'll win the races that way.
Yeah, you will, and you're welcome to finish in last place too. That's fine.
Well, only the second one.
I'm only teasing. Right. It is silly. We've all heard the memes, about always take Eon drop or what have you. This one actually seems to have some statistical whatever behind it, at least in my small sample size that I play.
Small.
Yeah, and by small, it's still probably the second biggest around, behind only Trails. I think he's the only guy that races this game more than I do.
Yeah, he's probably finished more Z2R matches than anyone at this point.
Yeah, he's raced over 500 career Z2R races.
Jeez.
And I think I'm second on that career list with something around
something about
440 or
master a skill, you must do it 1,000 times or more, maybe 10,000.
I think it's 10,000.
Yeah,
he's getting there.
Yeah, well, you can stay tuned for that maybe in the spring of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I imagine if something ever happened, or Trails got really old and he could only do one thing, this would be it.
Oh, that's going to be devastating for our generation when the arthritis makes it so we can't play the video games anymore.
Oh, no, they'll just hook our brains straight up to controllers.
No, he just gets text to chat mode. He'll speak into the microphone, go left, go right, attack, dolphin stab, jackhammer.
I think that would wind up looking like a lot of the angry video game nerd when he does the the peripherals where he's fire. Imagine trying to play that way. I think we'd have better luck. God. We'd have better luck hooking up a Guitar Hero guitar and trying to play with that.
That's awesome.
Did Trailsy?
But yeah, now I'm imagining kind of
because he did end up resetting back here. He didn't find.
he heated up in a. Yeah. I'm kind of imagining Stephen Hawking, except instead of what is in his mouth, instead of that, it's like an NES controller or something.
I hope it sounds just as robotic.
That's the way I want to go out with an NES controller in my mouth.
Yeah, I'll give the command: load Bayou Billy Sprite. Attack!
Punch those bulletproof vests right off those goons.
That's right. I think that's what the blue bird knights wear.
Probably. Still want to see, an actual, like, rainbow bird knight, just flashing back and forth, and not because of a glitch.
Ooh.
Just shuffling its palette.
Yeah, I had a fun thought the other day about enemies shuffling weapons. So you might have an Octorok shooting, blue Lizalfos clubs or something like that.
Oh, that would be easy and cool to get done.
Yeah,
hey,
I don't know anything about programming, so I really don't know how easy it is. But it seems feasible, and it seems like an idea
and
that
you'll start firing out those little rose heads you have on your stream that you put there at the end there.
What?
The sleeping rose heads.
That's something. Yeah, that's something Victor does. I think. Yeah. I can't take responsibility for that. That is the work of Victor Santa Fe.
I think the red Dyras firing those out. Speaking of red Dyras, we saw the red Dyra cave, the magic cave, beginning of the game. 2 red Dyras and an orange Dyra. Trailsy, both went through.
I don't recall that. That must have been very early, right? Like to the right of the fairy room or something.
At the beginning of the seed, you went through Magic Cave. There's 2 red Dyras and an orange Dyra and an orange.
Oh, that was
Dyra.
a Magic Cave. Yeah.
That had downstab, no problem.
Under normal conditions, that would be a really holy cow room. But when you have the candle and downstab, it was a cinch.
Right. Trailsy did bring all 3 of them to the low overhang and just simply downstabbed all 3 of them at once. And then you led each one of them out one by one, fighting them and killing them that way.
I wanted to really just kind of jackhammer all of them, but I took a weird level up in the middle that I didn't really intend, and that disrupted the rhythm.
Mm.
I see Trails is going left again at after.
That was the first elevator. There was 2 elevators at the start after the Thunderbird.
Okay.
You noped on out of the first elevator with the little moo or whatever spike on top, and then you got the next elevator after that.
Yeah, so he's taking the other path. I see. He's having a really unfortunate time here in GP. He's really full clearing it.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to find a drop here. I don't imagine what he is going to find.
I think Bird Knight on the other side of these honeycomb rooms.
Maybe he'll find the Cane of Burner or something.
Yeah, I think he's going to find that before he goes later.
Cake of Burner, whatever it is.
He's going to find Jimmy Hoffa.
But this is going to put you into a nice, comfortable 1-0 lead ahead of Trailsy here, going into the final match. We're not sure who your finals opponent is going to be. Both Buzz Thunder and Amazing Toaster still have their match scheduled for later.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing Toaster and Buzz Thunder are your potential opponents?
Yes, and I've already played them both in the Swiss phase, and they're both really good. It's a toss-up. It's just going to depend on, who gets just a little bit of better luck, I think. They're both very skilled.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Buzz Thunder doesn't really even play that often anymore, right? And to maintain that kind of skill, you must know the game very well.
Yeah, he does. He's a real gamer. He's clutch, and he's very smart. So he's tough to beat in tournament competition.
This seed here could have been a really quick seed, sub half an hour for sure. Depending on how quickly you picked up the flute recorder and heading over to the Great Palace. So we're watching the seed, wondering if this could be potentially a 2-hour seed where the recorder is hidden in the back of like Palace 5 or something, blocked by like the 7 magic containers in New Pursuito, but you did end up finding it in Maze Island, which helped you jump into the Great Palace much ahead.
That, I really thought that's what was going to happen. I was shocked to find the flute as quickly as I did. I fully expected it to be one of those get every item out of the overworld kind of seeds and then have to just start picking off palaces one by one. I was really kind of surprised to see that flute. And I can't even say relieved, because I thought for sure I'd already blown the game at that point. I said, oh no, it's the flute.
I'm always hoping for those nightmare scenarios, but I never quite get them, unfortunately. I guess the flute is a nice median point, but here's Dark Link.
Let's see if Trozy can close it out on this life, or what he intends to do. He does have another game scheduled with you tomorrow night. We'll see if he wants to join us in the chat after.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to tomorrow night's game too. It should be fun and exciting. You just never know. Max Rando is just such a wild beast. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
This one had a lot of survivability to it. Some of them make you struggle to survive, but this was a piece of cake in terms of that.
That's GG.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who is a little bit less, well-versed, they might look at this, 19-minute difference and say, oh, well, RCS is obviously much, much better than Trails. But that's not the case. RCS and Trails are very close in skill, and it could have gone the other way just as easily. That's Max Rando.
Oh, yeah, and Randomizer in general can be like that, and Max Rando in particular, just one decision, and it might not even be a decision based on skill or the statistics and odds. It could just be, a choice between going left or right, and that could make a 10-15 minute difference in a seed. It is wild that way, and for better or worse. So some people really don't like that about Max Rando, but it's one of the things that makes it exciting and totally challenging.
If we calculated your total maximum amount of races that you've done minus the amount of races under Trail Z, like almost every race that you do of these randomizer flags are against Trail Z. You haven't played too many games not against him.
Oh, only tournament opponents. It is surprisingly hard to scare up a race in the middle of the week. Just a random non-tournament race. It is kind of sad how hard it is to get such a game going.
Sorry, I got lots of hobbies, unfortunately.
I need a new controller.
I know. If you like to play every night, you got to play a different randomizer. This is a randomizer for special occasions, I guess. And I just have to say, it shouldn't be that way. This is an amazing game, and for anyone watching, if you're thinking of playing, give it a try. It's a heck of a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and if you can finish Zelda 2, just period at all, you can play the randomizer. You don't have it doesn't take that long to go from a 4-hour clear time to say a 2-hour clear time.
Yeah,
especially if you've watched.
We've gotten word from Trails he will not be joining us in the chat tonight. He does need to get some rest. Tomorrow night, you are playing at what time tomorrow night?
9 o'clock Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern, we will have the second game of the semi-finals best of 3. RoseCitySaint taking one game, having one game ahead in the lead here. How do you feel? Final thoughts going into tomorrow?
Winning tonight was great, but if I give it away tomorrow, it didn't mean much. So I have to finish the job tomorrow.
All right, well, good luck. And is there anything you want to say to your fans watching you in the chat here?
I love you all. Peace out.
From the RoseCitySaint, good night, and cue out everybody. I think, what else do we have coming up?